So the first session is actually 2-3 ideas which I think are critical for our growth and also to identify who we are. So basically we are talking about value systems, what impacts productivity, and as I mentioned yesterday, we've identified each of you who are present today as the leaders of this company. So what should be the attributes of a leader? What can you do to become a better leader? Some of these are not our ideas. The value system that now embodies NCML is a culmination of a session that we had with 15-20 of us. We had another offsite and we worked out what we now have accepted as the company's and for each of us our statement of values. And we'd like this statement of values to permeate each of us, each of our actions in our interface with clients, with our family members and with each other. So this is what we call the 8 magic mantras of NCML. So we start with the first. So we are not employees of the company. We are the company. So we are loyal to ourselves, means we are loyal to the company. So we have strong ambition, we have passion, and we have ownership for our company, as well as the business. Right from our inception, NCML has been known for its management. Star Agri is known for its promoters. NBHC was started by Jignesh Sir. The outside world does not know who NCML is. It only knows the area manager, it knows the regional manager, it knows the testing quality commodity head. So NCML embodies the management and its employees. So for us, it's our company and therefore it's more than a job. The underlying principle that governs each of our actions is honesty and integrity. Integrity and honesty not only for the company, for employees and those who work along with us, but also for our customers who enable us to grow and who sustain our business, who sustain NCML. So this is mantra 2. So when we are talking of this 8 mantras, these are non-negotiable mantras. Mantra number 3 is that when there's a debate between ourselves and the customer is in the forefront. And we will wow them with excellent service and customized solutions. So there's no straitjacket product. The customer will decide what he wants and you will be flexible to satisfy his needs. It does not, of course, mean that we break protocols or compromise on risk. But the underlying philosophy is that the customer has a right on us. And he will come back to us because of the excellence of our service. Value 4. We are always looking at being fresh. We actively seek new ideas, and when it's a choice between risk and return, we do a very careful, calibrated balance to grow our business. If you have seen our brochure, we call ourselves risk managers of the nation. So when we are looking at innovation and we are looking at new things, we always are mindful of the pitfalls and the risks, and we balance that out with possible returns or profits. We are now a 12-year organization. We are mature and responsible. And we'll always deliver on what we say. Whether it is an oral commitment or a written email, we will deliver on our promises and commitments. We have ambitious goals, but we meet our goals through disciplined and effective execution and processes. We'll be spending much of our time this year, and Anil will be leading that team on defining processes and systems for each of our businesses. Managing risks, managing SOPs, and ensure that those are not compromised when we are executing our tasks or when we are delivering on our promises and commitments. What distinguishes NCML is each of us. We have confidence that we are a talented bunch of guys, that we are the best. And you have to believe that you are the best. Not only you, but those around you, those above you and those below you. So we have talented and high-performing teams. None of you have been recruited by us or recruited by NCML because you are the grand-nephew or grand-niece of the promoter. You've been hired on account of your talent. You've been hired because you are the best in the market for that role. NCML has always had choices on whom to select, and a conscious decision was taken to select you. Please be mindful of that. Please have confidence that you have talent and that you, along with your colleagues, are a high-performing team. And for this talented bunch of people, you have to allow them space to work. Once you recognize them as talent, you have to allow them autonomy. And we have to allow opportunities to them to learn, perform, and grow. So share information, share protocols, share your experiences, share your learnings. It is not going to hurt you. You are talented and you are skilled. So don't have a complex that he'll upstage you and get promoted over you. Whether it's your peer group, whether it's your friends or people immediately reporting to you. You can certainly be envious of certain skills that a person has and learn from that. But we also be self-confident. So we want NCML to grow, and the only way NCML can grow is we believe is that when each of us is given the space to perform, deliver and grow. Yesterday I mentioned that a company of this size cannot have individual performers. If you are an artist or a singer or a dancer, you can have solo performances. Here the entire team has to work collectively. Whether it's building a warehouse and then running it, is doing a sampling of agriculture produce, you have to have a sampler, you have to have somebody to carry that sample, you have to have somebody to analyze, you have to have an IT system to front end it to the customer. So please believe that it's not you alone, it's your team that has to work together. So one theme of this conference, and the reason we have divided you into groups, and why we've consciously said that we don't want individuals to show themselves and show that they are the best dancers. I've consciously said that I do not want individual performances. Individually, you have to show along with your group that you can perform. So you may be the best test analyst, but the sample has to come to you, a sample which has integrity, which is credible. You can be the best finance guy, but you have to have an IT system which supports it. Otherwise, you will not have an accounting system which balances. So whether it's a support service, whether it's a data entry operator, every person, every employee has to work along with it. And when there's a problem, when there's an issue, it should become the group's problem. And we keep on emphasizing that this is a family. The family has to work together and grow together. There's no question of you going on front. You cannot. Your hands and legs are tied to your group. So you have to work and move together. So there is one NCML. There is one entity which is NCML, and you're all subcells. You're cells of that organism. It becomes increasingly more challenging because, as Ashok mentioned, now we have 14 NCML companies. But there's still one NCML. There could be an NCML finance, there could be an NCML market yard, there could be a silo company, there could be a project division. But it's all part of a whole. Finally, what defines a company is that employees find their work stimulating, rewarding, and challenging. And they would want to come to work, not because Nita has respect and treat her as equal. If it's a subordinate, you don't bulldoze and carry your weight around. That you act with integrity, you don't cheat on your partner. So all the values that we've talked about revolve around the same theme, that if we can make our work environment happy, then you do not have stress. What kills an organization and what kills employees is not often that he has an infection, but he is so stressful that he cannot work. So this is the mantra of the Fairfax family, which started with an equity of $1 million and now has assets of about close to $40 billion. So when I told Prem Vatsa, and I'm sharing this with you, that people have crossing 60 in our organization, that includes me, and we need to begin winding down. He said, no, I come to Fairfax every office because that is my life. I don't think of retirement, and he's 67. Because he enjoys coming to Fairfax, because Fairfax is him and Fairfax is his family. And for all Fairfax companies, this is the mantra, or this is the principle, not only publicized by word of mouth, but also displayed. At home, you can have Hanuman as your God, or Christ as your God, or pray to Allah, but please also have this when you come to the NCML workplace. So this eightfold mantra is what will embody the growth, the passion, and what defines NCML. It does not mean this eightfold mantra will not overgo a change. We are open to new ideas, and that is the eightfold mantras. But this is the result of what we felt was a good starting point of what should define NCML. So anybody who has innovation and ideas or changes to this statement, you are more than welcome to share them with us. Where's the Shikha? No, then she shared the old presentation. So there are two other areas which I'll be talking about, and one is, as I said, how can we in that 8-hour, 9-hour span that we have, so if we average, if you don't want to avoid stress, you would ordinarily work, say maybe if you're young, 55, 60 hours a week at best, and yet deliver on your goals, on your promises and commitments. And the different people have different ways of being productive. What happened? So first, of course, is I do not expect, except when there's a crisis, that you should work 14 hours a day. That's not the way to be productive. I remember my uncle, when I was a young IAS officer, and he asked, and he had called us for dinner, and I reached his place at 9:30 at night. He was an ex-army general. So he really fired me. So he said, why did you come late? So I said, I came late because I was working. He said, why were you not able to finish your work at 6? So he didn't reward me for the fact that I had worked late. He said that you're obviously inefficient, incompetent officer. You're not able to deliver by 6. So 6 can stretch to 7. But anything beyond 9 hours is not productive. So I remember that I worked hard when we had to write the IAS exam. But seriously, I could not use my brain for more than 6 hours a day. I could sit on my books, but भेजे में तो उतना ही जाता 6 घंटे का. So if you have got 6 hours and maybe 2 hours of time to reflect, another 1 or 2 hours to reflect on whether the day's work has gone off well. So time management is, so every minute of your time has a cost. And I'm not asking you to spend your time with Excel sheets and creating an activity log. I'm just saying being mindful of the fact that you keep an activity log. Have a mental kind of thing that what do I plan to do today? What do I want to accomplish today? And set your goals. We have a broad KRAs which are given out to each of us at the beginning of the year. You break it out, break it down, and to achieve those goals, what are the activities that will enable me to reach that goal? So these are, what I'm displaying is nothing new. But I thought that it's important that we reiterate what we know and do not always practice. And we plan. And we prioritize. What should I be spending time on? So if you've got 8 hours, or if I have 50 hours this week, during this week, how should I spend my time? I have to, if I'm an area manager, I have business, I have to make sure that my team is working, I have my operational protocols to look after, I have my goals, I have to deliver on what my regional manager has told me? How do I prioritize and how do I set my weekly plan? And then you schedule. So this is something which you don't require an IT system to do that. You require to do this mentally, spend 5-10 minutes. Just write out on a scrap of paper on a pad that this is what I want to do. Of course, we encourage you and we encourage your bosses to send you your weekly plans. But whether or not they ask for it, it's important that you schedule your days and weeks activities. There's some people who, while they are meeting a client, are also talking to another client on the phone. Or while they're writing a mail, they think that they can multitask. So Google search tells me that multitasking is possible by 2% of the time of 100 people. So 2 people can have their brains simultaneously working on 2 problems. 98 of us cannot do it. And there are a lot of activities which show you that if you try to move one hand one way and the other hand that way, the brain collapses. There are some geniuses who can do it. So don't try to multitask. It's not productive. If there are 5 things to be done, schedule those 5 things at intervals. So one thing at a time. If you're speaking to somebody or if you're listening to somebody, then switch off your phone. Focus on what he's saying. So the brain cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. It does not mean that it cannot do multiple things. It can do multiple things, but in sequence. Obviously it means blocking out distractions. And this cut out clutter. Cluttering is not only in the brain, and we used to see a lot of it in Sarkari Babus, and I was a victim of having reams of paper. I've seen some workstations which have accumulated paper so that you don't even see their face. Now, 98% of it is not required. So keep a clean desk, keep a clean warehouse, keep a clean lab. Remove the garbage both in your mind and in your physical space in which you work. You'll be much fresher, cleaner at the end of the day. And of course, logically, therefore, you should schedule different time slots for different activities. So, if you're talking of therefore productivity, it is really a set of things which is a combination of all this. So, you're talking of improved time management, you're avoiding multitasking, and you're minimizing crisis management. So I asked Yeluri how he spends his time, and he told me that 80% is firefighting. He is dealing with issues which have come up and trying to resolve them. Maybe firefighting should occupy 10% of our time. So an average area manager also spends 60% of his time or more resolving issues which have arisen. Now, how do you minimize that? And as you will learn through the year, Anil has the answers. Anil, as head operation protocols and risk, will tell you that if you do this, you will not have issues resolved. So please believe Anil. He'll be setting out a chart for you on operational protocols and risk management, on following SOPs, systems and processes, so that something which is new comes up 1 out of 100 times and not 10 out of 100 times. So therefore, if you do 4, you will do 3. And it is true even of civil works. If you do a good design, I am sure that execution will be much easier and you will not have problems on the way. If you selected a good contractor, half the battle is won. If you've got a good set of specifications and materials, and obviously this means spending more time on it. Now in hindsight, Purnia, we should not have done a blind tender. We should have understood. We perhaps could have spent 4 months studying silo systems, studying material handling systems and seeing what do we want. So don't enter into any space like a blind alley. Our logo is we understand. So we understand, we believe in systems, we believe in processes. They are for a principle. And they're to avoid 3. 5. Eightfold mantra will help us improve productivity. So please go back to your mantra. Lot of that magic mantra is also talking of productivity, directly and indirectly. And 6 is become a responsible leader. So there, Stephen Covey's habits are what we have decided to adopt for each of our leaders, and I'll be spending the next 5-7 minutes on telling you what these 7 habits are. So there are many magic wands of improving efficiency and productivity and financial efficiency. So financial efficiency and cost management is something which Ashok and Anupam will dwell on. But these are some general principles that each of us needs to adopt, and each of us are victims in not following, and I included, whether it is time management or stress or focusing on the 7 good habits which we talked about. All of us have weaknesses, but each of us should be mindful of this is where we need to be. Okay, so this should have actually ideally come one by one, but the first 4 are here. So the first is, so if you want to be a highly effective leader, and we want you to be ambitious and become a leader, each of you are already CEOs in your area of work, but we'd like you to be CEOs of a much larger space, of larger companies, and your ambition and goal should be CEOs of large organizations. For each of you should be proactive, not only in your workplace but also in your personal life. What does being proactive mean? Root out negativity. Christian was asking which is a good CM, and he mentioned Devraj Ars. So there's Devraj Ars was a chief minister of, and he told the Sarkari Babus that there are 100 ways of why you cannot do anything which I'm asking you to do. And very legal reasons and legitimate reasons why you cannot do it. But think of 10 reasons or 10 ways that you can do it. So that is the positive. So if a client asks for something, don't say this is not permitted. If a colleague asks you to do something, don't be reactive. Work on things you can do something about. There are always spaces that you can be positive about. In your own life, each of us have had challenges, each of us have had tragedies, but focus on what can be done. And if you want to be a leader, you must have a personal goal. So you must have a mission statement. Where you want to be at the end of the year, in this particular assignment, where you want to be at the end of 5 years, where you want to be at the end of 10 years. Even at the age of 60, Anigiri and I need to think of where we want to be the next 10 years. It need not be in NCML, but a personal mission statement, which includes our families, includes careers, it includes ambition, and whatever else we want from life. Some of you believe in rebirth. I am one of those who don't. So you have one life given to you. Make the most of it and develop, therefore, a personal mission statement. We talked about prioritization. So this is something similar. Put first things first. Focus on what is the purpose that you are there. Each person is born with a purpose. What are the values? What are the roles that you want to achieve or you want to be part of? And what are your priorities? So put first things first is a combination of prioritizing, reinforcing value systems, reinforcing your priorities. And fourth, think win-win. Very often, people feel that if I have to be a good boss, I must be a tough boss. And that is a choice. Either I can be soft or I can be hard. But that I can be nice and soft is the quality of a good leader. Now, each of us struggle to achieve that balance. But at least if we're conscious that we need to be at both places, you'll be perhaps a better human being. So therefore, you need to have a balance between courage and consideration. Being courageous and bold is good, but be also mindful of the other side is what a mature, responsible person can be. Okay. Five. I think this is something very critical to us. We can't be leaders if we do not learn and we do not take time to understand. So our logo says we understand commodities. But there's an extension, is that we understand our customers, we understand people. And amongst several ways of doing that understanding is first opening your ears. Hear him out. Don't begin your own preach that I know it. So if you want to be understood by others, you need to understand what he is saying. And to do that, you have to listen to really understand another human being. So it could be your client, it could be your wife at home, it could be your son, it could be your customer, your superior. He may be shouting at you, but please listen to what he is saying. Don't shout back. So if you want your view to prevail, you must understand the other person's view and his learning. Something is coming. So this 6 is already what we have talked about. Synergize. Work with other people and work with others. So I am not the only person who said that two brains are more than one. Stephen Covey also believes that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So develop the habit of creative cooperation. Be collaborative. Be cooperative in your approach. Don't do a one-man show. You know what a saw is? The 7th is sharpen the saw. So every body, every human being, like every machine part, requires to be serviced and re-energized. So human beings are no exception. So you have to have a time for self-renewal. And this is an area where I have been a victim. Physically, you should be in a good state of health. Some of us are. Ashok, I know he plays his shuttle every morning. Some of us are not. So physical well-being is very important. That's why we have had Anigiri in the past talking about temperance. Don't drink to get drunk, because then alcohol is poison. And if injecting poison into your bloodstream, that's not going to improve your state of physical health. Social and emotional. So as we said, that stress, alienating yourself with your family, with your friends, that leaves you in an unhappy state of mind. You have to have a social connect. Human beings, man is a social animal. I mean, that's something you should have seen in school. Mentally, you need to energize yourself. One reason why we have provided this quiz to you this afternoon is to reinforce the idea of learning. And I am told by some of the group members there was a reluctance of the participants to join the quiz team because they thought they would get exposed. So please mentally keep your mind and brain energized and rejuvenated. In most human beings, we are perhaps using 1% of the brain power. Civilization and the human civilization is still not recognized the enormity of the brain. And spiritual. Spiritual does not mean necessarily that you go to a mandir like a ritual every morning. It means embodying the right value systems, embodying the right principles of integrity and honesty. Believing in God and then being corrupt is not being spiritual. And if there's a choice, you know what at least NCML should choose. So we'll be circulating these 7 habits. We'll be circulating the statement of values. I would request the area managers to also have these values first understood by themselves, believe in them, and then have them permeated over a period of time along the team members of your group. So thank you very much, and thank you for a very patient listening.